sense that we're talking about different treatments being combined here.
Was grazing important too, Allian?
I didn't see any trend on grazing.
Okay.
Go into a chloragulum just for. You had the chloragulum was also in the percent cover one, right? No, that was just the totals. Never mind. Okay. So this is the one that had an effect of grazing.
Yeah, more ungrazed plots had chloragulum.
Do you think they taste good?
I just think they're bigger.
Bigger.
Bigger than other flowers. That could be one explanation for this.
Because this is the same kind of a problem that if these were important, and this is the late season, right?
Yes.
We don't know why the butterflies are not making it. The butterflies are not making it. We don't know, right? We don't know if those late season flowers are important or not. So if I were managing this land and I found this, I would want to do a heck of a good study of how important chloragulum is to the butterfly.
Late season.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm trying to get at, is that when you're doing a management activity that is even weakly correlated with potential destruction, you want to really understand that relationship, because you're down to a dozen butterflies.
Yeah.
So I want you to think a little bit more speculatively about some of these things. The late season. Other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So I guess my question is, considering that these like native serpentines are drought tolerant, I'm curious what you think may have been the role of our current drought with some of your unexpected results as far as increased native growth. And
Yeah.
if you can speculate upon that with just one season.
Yeah, that the drought, the extended drought could also affect the native vegetation. Yes, these plants are drought tolerant, but they would need some water resource to effectively grow. 2014 was an unusual year that could have affected the native vegetation where it grew more native, enhanced nitrogen plots. Yeah, I do see that as a puzzle.
I just have a quick question about the late season. You may, have mentioned it, but why is the late season more important than the early season? My understanding is that spring's coming earlier, so I would have thought early season would be more important.
Early season and late season would be important.
Okay, just different.
Just different.
Okay.
Different in what's going, what available sources they are for the bay checkerspot butterfly.
I see.
But yeah, because it's a threatened butterfly. It has small populations. Anything that it can get to continue its life cycle would be important.
I see. Thank you.
I was wondering if you knew what type of fertilizer they used. Did they irrigate it at all? Or
Yes, they did use soluble fertilizer. They tried to align it with how much nitrogen deposition they predicted. And yeah, one side they irrigated it, and one side was soluble water fertilizer.
Why did they, so this was set up by other researchers,
Yes, the plots were
and they were from,
UC Santa Cruz.
okay. And so what level of nitrogen did they apply, and why did they choose that level?
What level, the exact quantity, I don't have it on me, but they tried to simulate nitrogen deposition, or how much they could predict is being deposited at Coyote Ridge.
Over what period of time?
Over 10 years. So
So
this experiment started in 2007.
So like the deposition that would occur over 10
Over 10
years.
years.
Okay. And you said they irrigated?
Yes, water.
Both sides?
Both sides.
Oh.
Well, the nitrogen side, they just use enough water to apply the nitrogen, and then put that same amount of water on the
Same amount of water on the other
They
side.
just put a little bit, oh.
It wasn't really irrigation, it was more like
It was water.
they sprayed a mist once.
it was to replicate what they did in the enhanced nitrogen.
I think
side.
you need to explain those methods more clearly, because you're not using secondary data, but you're using a secondary setup. So you want to explain that really well so that we understand what this happening. So I want to ask you about Cynthia, is that the little neck?
Yeah.
Because I saw some photos showing photos of the butterflies on Amsinkia. So that wasn't one of the species that you studied, though?
And
Was it?
Cynthia? Yeah, it was. They,
Oh, you didn't have any, you just didn't have any,
I just didn't have any
present any data on
present
it.
any data on Amsinkia, but they did utilize Amsinkia as a nectar resource.
And that seemed to occur, when, well, I don't know, is that an early season, a late season?
It's an early season founder resource.
I guess-
Early through mid, early to
So
mid.
that might be a useful nectar source for them. Okay, but you did collect data on that?
I did.
Oh, all right, thank you.
I collected data on mostly all present species.
Mhm. You didn't really say which ones were the most abundant, did you? Did you?
Most abundant
Most
available
abundant
sources?
plants for the butterflies to use.
I didn't mention it, but I did have it on the table. Yes. So this, on these dates, those were the most abundant, and it seems like Amsinkia and Cryptantha were the most abundant.
Throughout the season.
So the season actually started, her observation started in March, late March, but the season started February 11th? That's when you saw your, 18th, when you saw your first butterflies.
Yeah, but
So
we couldn't
you
collect
didn't-
data until March 27th.
Yeah, it might be good to know. I don't know if you collected data from your plots on, you know, the actual abundance or cover of these different species. Or was it just presence absence?
It was presence absence in the early season and then percent cover in the later.
Okay, that'd be interesting to know. Maybe that's in your thesis, what the cover was for each of the different ones.
Other questions?
Was there any non-natives in the plots?
Yeah, there were non-natives in the plots. I just didn't present that data, but there was. I didn't see any trend of an increase or decrease, but they were definitely mainly Lodium multiflora, invasive grass.
I mean, I think that's one of the interesting things is that the study that you did had a very low level of nitrogen enhancement comparable to the anthropogenic nitrogen enhancement. And most species had no effect that was detectable with 10 replicates. And that's interesting. I mean, its power is low and all of that, but it's interesting. It's probably worth mentioning all of the things that were not significant.
Yeah, I was for my study I was mainly looking at flower resources
Yeah.
versus invasives.
Yeah, but you have those data. And
I
you
do have them.
You did analyze them. It's just nothing was there were no effects. There were no effects that were detectable, right? Any other questions, observations? Any philosophical questions? Why do we care about butterflies? Why do you care about butterflies?
They're an umbrella species. They
So
help
what?
conservation of the entire ecosystem.
So here's a policy question. Why is the Checkerspot butterfly an umbrella species for Coyote Ridge rare species? What
Yeah,
makes it
big-
special?
What makes it special? So the butterfly utilizes all these resources, if not as a nectar source, as a host plant. So if we protect that butterfly species, then indirectly we're protecting, the plant species. If we protect plant species, then we could potentially protect the soil or the entire ecosystem. It is a biodiverse hotspot for building.
All right, any more questions? All right, then thank you, and everyone have another strawberry. So, thanks everyone for coming. Lynn and I, Nini's third committee member is off-site and was not able to come today, but he's going to be reviewing the tape separately. That's Dr. Passari. But Dr. Trulli and I are going to confer briefly and give her some feedback on the talk today on the defense, okay? So everyone have a strawberry.
Yes.